The news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Feels kind of funny sitting here on a Monday in the fall, not having a Titans game to react to, but we've got a bunch of football to break down. Also, a little bit of breaking news coming out this morning that Nicholas Petit-Frere will undergo surgery on his shoulder. TBD on what that means for him for the season, but we'll get into that, what that means for the Titans this upcoming week against the Buccaneers, and also moving forward, what that offensive line is going to look like. But D-Mase is here. D-Mase, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Wonderful week. The weather was great. Enjoyed a lot of football. You know, unfortunately, there was no Titan football, but there was AFC South football. A lot of
pretty
college
impressive
football.
AFC South football.
Absolutely. So we got a lot to talk about here with the AFC South, the AFC in general, and the Tennessee Titans, where they go after a loss to, I was about to say Atlanta, but that was the week prior, but Pittsburgh. them losses just kind of like, man, the one after another.
They
all seem the same,
together.
yes.
Yeah, they're all the same. Willy D is here as well, joining us from Calgary. Willy, how we doing?
I am doing well, guys. You'll be happy to know that here in Calgary, I was able to get the NFL Network feed
Okay.
in my room at 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. And then between the Spokane, Washington feed of CBS and Fox, along with TSN, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I had a huge selection of all the games. I got to watch them all. So I was very worried about this. I was stressed on Friday. Was I going to be able to watch all the NFL games? But I took full advantage of the Sunday action here. So I feel good about my preparation for today's show.
No Calgary Stampede football?
No Calgary Stampeders football. The playoffs are going on here in the CFL. But and also the Predators are in a pretty good state of mind after a really good win on Saturday afternoon in Edmonton. I can tell you when the team landed in Calgary on Saturday night, the city was having a good time. Of course, anybody that beats the Oilers is a friend of the Flames, so the Flames fans were happy to see him, and the team was in a good mood. So we had a fun time on Saturday night too.
And it feels like, just the 100-pound weight lifted off the shoulders of the Predators. I'm sure a team in the Edmonton Oilers that has had this team's number for as long as I have been in Nashville, finally getting them in regulation this time. So we'll get into that. Willy, your observations from what you saw in that game against Edmonton. Also, our discussion with Elliot Friedman last week. Mm-hmm. As we know, American Thanksgiving, that is kind of the tipping point. That's a good measuring stick of your team potentially making the playoffs or being on the outside looking in. So what the Predators need to do here in the next 7 games before Thanksgiving to feel good about where they are in the standings. We'll get into all of that. But I want to start here. There was a report put out by the Boston Globe. Ben Volen of the Boston Globe wrote this. 2 sources close to the Patriots have independently said the same thing. They believe in Vrabel, currently the Titans coach, is the Kraft's home run choice to succeed Belichick. Now, this is something that we talked about a few weeks ago, just based off of rumors and fodder and Bill Belichick not being, the favorite man in New England over the last few weeks. New England doesn't look very good. There's a lot of talk of Bill Belichick, potentially a divorce coming in the future with the New England Patriots. They just want a new voice. It's not looking good. And as we know, it gets old A shtick like that with Bill Belichick, when you're not winning a lot of football games, the whole shtick gets old really quickly. So we've talked about that, of a potential divorce in the near future. Now, reporting by Ben Volen of the Boston Globe, who has been covering the NFL for forever and is as dialed in as anyone could be into the New England Patriots, now saying that Mike Vrabel is the home run hire, potential next hire for the New England Patriots. What do we make of it?
Man, things change very quickly around this league. I thought Bill Belichick just did a new deal in the offseason quietly. So did you do that deal in hopes that Bill would turn things around because you believe in Bill? Why did you do that deal if indeed it's being speculated that your home run hire is Mike Vrabel? Are you willing to give up the assets you have to give up to get Mike Vrabel? I'm going to answer that question. Hell no, I'm not. Because the assets that you would have to give up, I think, would set your organization back even further. He's not going to people look at look at John Gruden and the picks that were given up for him.
2 first-rounders.
But that was a ready-made team. That team was ready to win football games and win big. So you can make a trade like that and reap the rewards very quickly. If I have to give away 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and some money, because that's what had to be given up for John Gruden, do you think how long will it take you then to get back to where you want to be? Because right now, you're not confident in a quarterback. Nobody in an organization is confident in a quarterback. Your offense looks like molasses uphill.
It's rough.
Your defense is good, yeah. But in this day and age, you need that guy underneath center. You need some playmakers, and you don't have it. So why would I then, theoretically, give up 2 first rounds, 2 second rounders, some money for a guy that, let's be frank here, he inherited a team that was ready to win. They were a young team that was ready to win, meaning the Tennessee Titans. And he did everything the right way. He pushed those guys, but that was a team with a younger Derrick Henry. Since last year, they haven't since that AFC Championship run, they haven't won a playoff game. They haven't.
Correct.
And this team has been going downhill. This team is devoid of talent. They don't have that much talent. So, to me, he inherited a team that was ready to go, and now it seemed like the shine is sort of wearing off now.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're coming back down to earth. And I'm not saying that Mike Vrabel isn't a good coach, because I think he's a good coach. But I think we put him on a pedestal so quickly without winning a championship that now it's everybody wants to hold on to him. Or, New England, and New England is such in desperate need right now, they would probably be willing to give up just about anything to get him because you want a new face in the organization. But if you realistically look at it, this team hasn't gotten better. They haven't. They had 2 years where they went up, and now they're on a decline.
So if they haven't gotten better, would that be a move that you would be in favor of? If Robert Kraft comes forward and says, we'll give you the 2 first-round
if they want to give it up, I'm taking it. If I'm the Titans, I'm taking it because I then can hire a new coach. You better get it right, though. I then can hire a new coach, and he has all of this capital to build this team back up with a quarterback who is looking like the future. He has some more games to go, I get that. But he is looking like the future. So if I'm the Titans, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, give it to me. But if I'm New England, again, it doesn't make sense because your roster is not built to win. And if you give up that much, you're not going to be built to win for a very long time. That's just me.
Do we believe, first and foremost, that this is the last year of Bill Belichick coaching the Patriots? I'm not there yet in my mind. I know it's really crumbling and it's not getting any better anytime soon. It doesn't look like, but I don't have any signal that Bill Belichick is just going to step down. So is Robert Kraft really going to fire Bill Belichick?
I guess so. I mean, if Robert Kraft is now having open and honest conversations about who his home run next hire would potentially be, then yeah, I think that is a serious, thing on his mind. And there was an article written in The Athletic about a month ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, that the headline was, "If you don't think that Robert Kraft would fire Bill Belichick, then you're wrong." And I know it does sound crazy, right? A couple of down years after you've won 6 Super Bowls for the New England Patriots in the last 25 years. Like, it sounds absolutely ridiculous that you would move on from a coach like that. But I think we have to remember, one, Boston, New England, patience is very thin. They want to win, and they want to win now. And things haven't looked very good under Bill Belichick since Tom Brady has left. And they haven't won a playoff game since 2018. They're antsy. They want some success. So I do think that it is realistic with all of the smoke that's been around Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick that there is some fire, no pun intended, that he could get fired at some point this season.
Well, I still will believe that when I see it. It's a fun story, and a quote of Mike Vrabel would be a home run hire. That could be, this is just my interpretation, that could be someday down the road, 2-3 years down the road, not necessarily immediately for next year. Now, I'm not ruling it out, but when you really get into the practical part of it and how you would have great bargaining power if you're the Titans in that situation, I don't see how that makes any sense for the Patriots. I don't think it makes any sense to trade that kind of draft capital when you need players. The Patriots are a rebuilding team, like D-Mase was saying. So I think it's very unrealistic. Now, down the road, someday, will Mike Vrabel be the coach of the Patriots? Someday, I think that's very possible, but not next year. I'd be stunned in a trade situation. I think it's much different if Mike Vrabel hits the free agent market.
I think that's the important thing to consider is it's one thing to say, hey, Mike Vrabel would be a home run hire, because in theory, I think it would be. You bring a guy back that has ties to the golden era of the New England Patriots, won a Super Bowl here for you. He has the New England Patriot Tom Brady DNA, that if you've got a fan base that it's unhappy and is starting to check out, what's a really great way to get people checked back in? Well, bring back somebody who's beloved within the organization. But that's the important thing to keep in mind is, yes, that would be a home run hire in theory, but are you willing to do what it takes to get him? And I think the second thing there, too, is to keep in mind. Now, I don't know how many Titans fans out there are thinking, no, you can't move on from Vrabel, because I do feel like a good portion of the fan base is experiencing Vrabel fatigue, whether it's the beginnings of it or whether you've been, checked out of Mike Vrabel for a while now. I do think that the Vrabel fatigue is real. But none of this happens if Amy Adams-Strunk doesn't want it to happen. If Amy Adams-Strunk isn't willing to move on from Mike Vrabel, she can just say thanks, but no thanks. She can look at it and say, well, if the picks are more valuable than what we believe Mike Vrabel brings to this organization, then yeah, we'll do it. It all comes down to Amy Adams-Strunk. She has the power in this situation.
Well, also, but I think the smart thing to do, if the Patriots call, let's just say the Patriots call and they say, okay, what do it take? Well, let's just talk about this. We love Mike Vrabel. You then immediately have to have a conversation with Mike Vrabel and say, we're about to go through a transition here. We're moving out of the Ryan Tannehill era. We're moving into the Will Levis era. We got to figure out what we're doing with Derrick Henry. We just traded Kevin Byard. The team is going to look different next year. We got a new stadium in a couple years. Do you want to go through this? Do you want to be here? And you got to read Mike Vrabel. Do you love Nashville? Is this it? Or is there part of a coach's DNA that says, hey, after about 6 or 7 years, it's hard to stay in one place anywhere, right? Sometimes a fresh start is good. And if you get some of that, then you start talking to the Patriots saying, okay, what would you give us? And if it is a crazy package of a couple of firsts, a couple of seconds, something like that, then you have to listen to that. You see what I'm saying? It's a process. It's not just in a vacuum. You have to decide today, but you go through a process and you vet it. And it all starts, to me, of how much Mike Vrabel wants to go through this transition. The window is basically closing on this first run, this era that he had, right? Let's call it the Ryan Tannehill era. Agreed? Right? We're about to go into a new phase.
Oh, it's closed. It's closed. It ain't closing. It's closed.
So does Mike Vrabel want to be a part of this new era, knowing that they don't have a lot of draft picks? They're going to have to be really smart in the offseason moves that they make to be competitive next year. The division is about to get really tough, it looks like, if any indication, or if the indications that we're seeing are true, that Stroud looks like the real deal, Jacksonville looks like the real deal. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can see a coach saying, well, this wouldn't be a bad time to get off the ride. I've done some pretty good things here. And if the Patriots are calling for me, I'll take a fresh start. And if I can leave the Titans in a better spot, then even better. I don't know. I'm just speculating on all of this stuff.
Well, I mean, Vrabel, he's not going to run away from a challenge. That's what he's not going to do that. He's a former player, and a good former player, that have come from championship teams. He's not going to walk away from this situation. He is not. He's going to have to be fired or traded. And if you're talking about trades, if I'm Amy Adams, I'm not saying a damn thing until I got everything that I want in writing. I'm not making a move, because the minute, if you don't have anything in writing from New England Patriots and they just call you and say, hey, how you doing, Amy? What's going on? Hey, it's nice to see you in the Hamptons this past summer. What's going on? What's your thoughts on Mike Vrabel? I mean, we love him here. If it's a conversation like that, just trying to fish and see where you're at, I'm not. Why do I need to tell my head coach? Because the minute you tell your head coach, that means you're entertaining it. Now my head coach is in a position where, oh, you don't believe in me? Okay. Like, now you put him in a weird position. I'm not making. I'm not.
You got to get
deal.
the offer
Yeah,
first.
I'm
you
not
making
get the deal first until I got an offer. And if I am the Tennessee Titans, as good as people believe Mike Vrabel is, it's like he walks on water. And again,
do people still believe that?
I think you hear it all the time. Oh, if he leaves, somebody else will hire him. It's like, duh. That's
how football works.
That's like 99% of the coaches in this league. Yeah. They just recycle. If you get fired, you're going to get hired somewhere else, But to me, if you're offering as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in 03, somewhere around 04, they offered 2 firsts, 2 seconds, gave him some money. Why? Because John Gruden had already been to a Super Bowl with that Oakland Raider team. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens, but they had already been. He took that team in 2 years from being the worst to one of the best and a Super Bowl appearance. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were set to win. Historically, one of the greatest defenses ever. They were set to win. They just needed that coach to kind of push them over the edge. They felt Tony Dungy had gotten the voice had gotten a little bit old, So they bring John Gruden in, a little bit more feistier, more of an offensive guy, because Tampa was all defense. He comes in, a ready-made defense historically, some good players on offense, and what did? They came in and they won a Super Bowl. Why? Because of their defense. You think the New England Patriots are set up for that right now?
I don't, but if you're going to call him a home run hire and you're going to put him at the forefront of your potential candidates, then that tells me that you're desperate, Super Bowl or not, that you're willing to give up what it takes to get him.
What you're telling me then is this is a long-term process. This long, like 4 or 5 years long. And that's longer than the NFL.
How long can Robert Kraft sign up for a long-term process? I don't want to sound morbid, but...
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you want to make the deal... If I'm Amy, if you want to give up in today's football, if you want to give me 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and take his contract, by God, here, I'll pack his bags. I like you, Mike, but you're just like the players. If a deal come across my desk that is too good to refuse, then I'm not going to refuse it. It's like, here, take it. here you go. Now we got all the picks. Now we get to build up our team. Why? Because in 3 or 4 years, we moved to that new stadium. One, I believe I have my quarterback, but I need some players around it because everybody else is getting old. So when I walk into that building like we did with my dad in 1999, we were ready to win in 99, and that's what we did. So when I walk into that new building, I want to be ready to win. So you make the deal. That's just me.
When I first read the quote, I was thinking that this was a long-term thought, that a home run hire someday, not necessarily in the meantime. But the other part of this we haven't discussed that I guess has been speculated, and they move fast in Boston, but I guess maybe part of the equation would be you would trade Bill Belichick to the Commanders next year, and you would.
Whoa.
So
That's a lot
it would
of
almost be
moving
like
parts
a three-way
here.
deal. But that almost would make more sense. Like I just cannot see Robert Kraft firing Bill Belichick. I think it would be another one where you would have Kraft talking to Belichick. If you have a good owner-coach relationship, you say, where are you at? Do you want to go through this? Or do you want to take us out of this? Are you ready for something new? If so, let's talk about it. So then you would take the assets that you would get from Washington, and then maybe that would make it easier for you to, in theory, trade draft picks to get a new coach. But I still like D-Mase is saying, if you're the Patriots, you need picks. You can't be giving up picks for where they're going. They're almost back to square one. They're not sure they have the quarterback. Their team is getting worse. The only way to get better is to get picks. You're going to trade picks to get a great coach. How is that coach going to fix everything?
I don't disagree with you, but apparently, per Ben Volen of the Boston Globe, these conversations are going on. So you trade Belichick to the Commanders. Could the Titans hire Eric Bieniemy as their next head coach? Crazy little incestuous web of coaching across the NFL. But we'll get into your thoughts on this coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Plus, the most important thing within the Tennessee Titans organization right now is Will Levis. Will Levis and his development and what he means to your franchise moving forward. So when you consider potentially moving on from Mike Vrabel, if that's a trade that the New England Patriots are going to want to make, what kind of effect does that have for Will Levis, his development, and his role within the franchise? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, let me tell you about Loan Pronto and some of the things they have that can help you get ready for the financial year 2024, or if you need some cash for the holidays. Right now, Loan Pronto is featuring their Express Equity line of credit. It's always there for you, but it can get you thousands of dollars in as little as 5 days. It's a streamlined process. You can keep your primary mortgage intact, and most of the time, you don't need an appraisal. So it's a very streamlined digital process that doesn't involve a lot of paperwork, and then you can quickly get cash in hand to be able to address your financial needs. Pay off that credit card bill with the big interest rate. That's a smart move. Or you've got other personal loans that have high interest rates. You can do that. Or if you've got plans for a home improvement project in 2024, that's something to keep in mind. All you've got to do is call Loan Pronto and ask about that Express Equity line of credit program. Call them at 615-499-5780. Get yourself on solid financial footing before the new year ends. 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
My foster parents didn't just teach me to fish. They taught me that persistence and patience pay off. They didn't just teach me to bake the perfect birthday cake. They also taught me to measure and meet my own potential. They didn't just teach me to garden. They taught me to plant seeds and watch them grow. And they didn't just teach me to walk. They taught me to stand on my own 2 feet. Foster a child and change their future. Visit youthvillages.org/foster.
Hey Nashville, ready for a leap back in time this Veterans Day? Join the Kiwanis Club at Centennial Park for a World War I Remembrance Spectacular. Hear from Kem Hinton, Colonel Stephen Todd, and veteran advocate Jennifer O'Neill. We're gathered at the Mother Monument November 11th, 1 p.m. Experience history with a World War I camp reenactment by the 9th Kentucky Infantry. And yes, there will be food trucks. Honor, remember, and celebrate with us this Saturday, 1 p.m. The Kiwanis Club of Nashville, serving our community since 1916.
Actor portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at pourvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Pourvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Pourvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
But I also want you not to take this organization for granted. I've been a lot of places. This is a special place with great leadership, great fans, great direction, great coaching. Enjoy it. It's not like this everywhere. Thank you very much.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel accepting his Patriots Hall of Fame speech. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits tonight for MTSU men's basketball. Basketball is back. The Blue Raiders will start their season tonight at home.
Yeah, opening day. Hey, shout out to the Hoopsters out there. Let's go.
Opening day. Let's go. I know Basketball Joe is all juiced up about it. Pregame begins at 7 o'clock and tip-off is 7:30 p.m. Coverage also is available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 933classichits.com. So we're breaking down a recent report in the Boston Globe by Ben Voland, who's been covering the league for a long time, incredibly dialed in to New England and Boston sports. He wrote that two sources close to the Patriots have independently said the same thing. They believe Vrabel, currently the Titans coach, is the Kraft's, quote, home run choice to succeed Belichick. Says Vrabel was the 2021 NFL Coach of the Year, went to the playoffs in 3 of his first 5 seasons in Tennessee, and took the Titans to the 2020 AFC Championship game. Of course, we all know that, which included a playoff win in Foxborough against Tom Brady. Vrabel has the cachet of being a former player and has proven he can win big games. The report of Belichick's contract conveniently came out the same time the day that Kraft's feted Vrabel at Gillette Stadium, inviting the Titans coach to sit with them in the owner's box for the Patriots-Bills game. It is very convenient that report came out right around the time that Vrabel was going to be back in New England.
Well, I mean, whether it was
Bill
done
may
on
be feeling
purpose,
a little uncomfy.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you signed this man to a lucrative contract. any offseason, reportedly. Yes, I understand that you would love for Mike Vrabel to be, that's like your splash hire, like that would be the guy that if everything went perfectly, then we would hire him. I think that's a situation where Vrabel gets fired or Vrabel just chooses to leave, which I can't see him leaving. But I think that's in a situation where if Vrabel gets fired, then the New England Patriots can then do what they need to do to retain his services. I don't know if that means they're going to trade for a, Mike Vrabel, because again, I look at just black and white. It's not gray to me. The reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because everybody goes back to that. That's what everybody goes to. So I'm going to stay on that thing. The reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded for John Gruden, one, he's an offensive-minded coach. He was one of the best callers in that time. Two, his team had went to 2 AFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl. So he was the hottest thing on the market. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they felt, was just a new voice away and a guy that thought more offensively than defensively away from winning a championship. So that was a calculated trade. They understand, like, this is the now for us. Just like what the LA Rams did, that was the now for them, and they got exactly what they wanted, a Super Bowl. That was Tampa Bay saying, this is the now for us. We feel Gruden, with his superior offensive mind, what he did with that Oakland team, at the time it was the Oakland Raiders, we need him as our coach. And it worked. New England is not in that space, I don't believe. They're not in that space to trade for him. They're in that space to say, hey, if he gets fired, we'll take him. We will take him open arms. And if that means us firing Bill Belichick to get him, we'll do that. But I don't think New England is going to make a trade because, again, does Robert Kraft want to sit through the sort of rebuild of that organization from an offensive standpoint with a guy that's not an offensive-minded coach?
I hear you.
It doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. Now, if he gets fired, that's something different. But it doesn't make sense for me, from New England's standpoint, to trade for him. Now, if I'm the Titans, I'm taking it. Give it to me. Give me those 2 first. Give me those 2 seconds. Yeah. And you want to take his salary? Go ahead. Have him.
But I think we also have to have the perspective here. We're talking about replacing a legend, and we're putting the cart in front of the horse. We still don't know what the future is going to be with Bill Belichick.
As Bill Belichick sit on television.
He looks super excited.
Excitement has never been a word that I've associated with him in front of a microphone ever. But
he looks like he wants to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he always does. Even when they've won 5 in a row, it doesn't look a whole lot different, I don't think. But we're talking about a major piece of the puzzle here. I think we're putting the cart ahead of the horse. If this really starts snowballing to where it looks like he is definitely out, I still think he has earned the right to choose his own exit from New England. That's my feeling. I don't think Bob Kraft is just going to unmercifully fire Bill Belichick. I think we have to find out what that's going to be before any of the speculation makes any sense.
If a report from the Boston Globe is coming out and Robert Kraft's talking about, the era,
we don't know that. We don't know that Robert Kraft is talking about it. That's an unnamed. It's an unnamed source. 2 unnamed sources. That's all. And that quote could be down the road. So there's all kinds of interpretations.
I just don't know how much down the road there is for Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how long that contract extension was for. I know Ian Rappaport reported it as lucrative. Mm-hmm. I'm sure whoever told him about the contract extension wanted to use the word lucrative and kind of make it look as good as possible. For all we know, it could have been a 1-year extension.
Could have been.
So I don't know how long-term the Patriots are looking. I don't know how long Bill Belichick is going to be around with the New England Patriots. 4 or 5 years seems long. I don't know if Bill Belichick has 5 years left in him with the Patriots.
Well, I think, I think Bill Belichick has 5 years left in coaching. It just seems like
In
he's
New
that
England.
guy that will coach until he just can't coach anymore. Whether he has it in New England or not, that's a different story. But I don't think anything, because we're talking about this, and rightfully so, but we're talking about this as if this upcoming offseason there will be a trade made.
There could be.
They're not. No.
Why not?
Here's the reason why. What does New England need more than anything?
They need a quarterback.
All right. So why am I going to give up my first round pick?
Give up your 2025 first.
It's going to be a high first round pick.
Yeah.
Why then would I give up that pick? Because you would have to give up two, which means you would have to give up your 2025, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And does New England, do they want to do that? 2 draft picks and essentially maybe 4 draft picks. 4 of your top 4 picks, like 2 first rounders, 2 second round. I'm definitely not doing this offseason because there's too many quarterbacks coming out, and I want one of those top quarterbacks. So the hell if I'm doing it this season. What makes you think then they want to do it next season? This roster, they need to build this. Again, if I'm the Titans, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Hands down, I'm taking it. Give it to me. Have them. Love you, Mike. But it's something that ran across my table I couldn't refuse.
All right, I'll throw it to you guys. You guys are the general manager of the Patriots, right? You're looking at this rebuild. You're saying Mac Jones isn't the guy. I'm going to have a new coach. Would you rather have scenario A for the rebuild, replace Mike Vrabel, replace Bill Belichick? Let's say he's retired, he's resigned. It's a mutual parting of the ways, whatever. Gerard Mayo, former University of Tennessee guy who's been speculated for a long time as maybe the understudy that could take over someday. This has been sped up. He's only 37 years old, right? But that was for a while kind of what the thought was. Maybe he would be the guy that they're grooming for that day when it comes, which was not supposed to be anytime soon. But would you rather have Gerard Mayo taking over with the 3 or 4 draft picks, whatever it is, or is Mike Vrabel that exciting, that much of a difference maker that he would do way better? You have him, but you're minus a couple of first-round picks and maybe a second-round pick. What gives you a better chance to rebuild quicker?
I would
Mike
say
Vrabel
Gerard
that much
Mayo.
better?
I would say Gerard Mayo, but I'm just saying what has been reported about what Robert Kraft wants.
You could be speculating on one day. Maybe you feel that way one day, but then when you actually really think about it, does that make any sense at all? I don't think it makes sense for a rebuild. Like D-Mase is saying, if they were one coach away from winning and they had everything else, then I could see it. But this is a rebuild. They're going into a rebuild.
Like if Buffalo was in the picture and Buffalo said, "Man, we've tried this with McDermott. It's for whatever reason our defense is not, we got offense, but our defense."
The
then
Chargers is probably a realistic scenario.
Okay, yeah, the Chargers.
A great team with a
Absolutely.
doofus head coach.
So I can see a Mike Vrabel, them saying, okay, because we have our quarterback, we have a bunch of weapons on offense. The defense is good, but they don't show up every game. We need a coach that's going to make sure they show up every game. So that makes sense to me. Vrabel to L.A. Because why? They're built to win now. They have their quarterback, they have receivers, they have running backs, offensive lines, okay. Defense from a personnel standpoint is good. They just hadn't been able to put it together, consecutively during the season. Mike Vrabel would make much more sense there in them giving up 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders than him going to New England. New England is not built. New England's in a worse situation than the Titans.
I totally hear you. I'm just saying what has been reported of what Robert Kraft wants, and he wants him some Mike Vrabel. He wants to win, and he thinks Mike Vrabel is the home run, whether we think that's crazy or not. That's what he thinks. But as we look at it through the Titans lens of, do you make that? Let's say Robert Kraft says that is my guy. We want Mike Vrabel. Give him the 2 first, give him the 2 seconds, as crazy as that might sound. If you're Amy Adams-Strunk, D-Mase, you say do it. And I would say, man, those picks would be really hard to pass up. But the most important things, I believe, the 2 most important things when you're building a team for the future, which I think is, the Titans are looking ahead to the future. One thing, draft capital. The second thing, your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Your young quarterback that you think looks like the guy and you want to develop for the future. And I think we can all agree through 2 games, it looks like Will Levis is going to be the future. Things can change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be the quarterback 15 years from now here, but he looks like the guy moving forward. Would it hurt your quarterback more than it would help him with the changing of the guard? That, a change up, a switch up within the organization, a change up in the coaching staff after his first season when he's still in development. How much would that really hurt or hamper his development?
I mean, but now it's up to the organization, it's up to Rand Carthon to make the right. It has to be the right hire in this situation because you got a young quarterback. You have a young quarterback, and you want to develop this young quarterback. And hopefully he can be your 10 to 15, possibly even 20-year plan where you don't have to worry about a quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. So the hire would have to be you would have to really think long and hard about who you're going to hire or who you're going to marry your quarterback with, because y'all two are going to be at the hip at least for 5 years. Let's just say that. At least for 5 years, y'all are going to be at the hip. And his development is going to be tied to 3 people. The offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, the offensive coordinator, and the GM. And I throw the GM in there because all y'all made the decision to allow one person to leave and made the trade, which if that trade comes around your table, you take it, at least to me. But then you are responsible for hiring the individuals that are going to now be a tutor or a guy that's going to help your young quarterback develop into what you hope to be a franchise quarterback. All 3 of y'all are in this together. You, the head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach. All y'all are, if you choose not to retain, the other guys below, which if you allow Mike Vrabel to go, Mike is going to take some of those people with him. That's just how he is. He's a loyal guy. He's going to take some of those people with him. So then you as a GM must make the right hire as head coach. Then subsequently your head coach need to make the right hire, offensive coordinator and quarterback's coach. So all 3 of y'all now are tied to the development of this young quarterback. All right. Do you want to do that? If they're giving you picks.
That's the big question.
Hey, but that hire, you better think long and hard about that hire because that hire is going to directly affect who your quarterback becomes.
That's a good point. So that's why it's got to be. That's why it's got to be something like a offer you can't refuse, 2 firsts, 2 seconds kind of thing. Otherwise it's not worth discussing.
And we're not advocating that Vrabel be fired or anything else. These are just speculations that are coming out,
Right.
Not at all. It's if the phone rings and they offer you an incredible offer, it's like, what would you do? Until that happens, and I don't think it's going to happen, honestly. I think I don't know what kind of mood Robert Kraft was in when these 2 sources went.
Was
to
he
the
just coming out the suite after the
and
game
had a few, all reminiscent, and he had a few pops, and what a great hire this guy would be. It would be awesome. Like I don't think they really got down to brass tacks of how you would do it. So once you get to that, then it's like, hey, it's a nice thought, but no way. It's not happening.
I don't know.
I'm putting this at 0.09% of actually happening.
So what you're saying, it has a chance to happen.
Of a trade. Now, 3 or 4 years from now, it could be totally different, right? The paths could cross, right? He could become a free agent coach, or he could be fired. And then whoever succeeds Belichick, or maybe Belichick hangs on for another couple years. Or maybe they fire Belichick and Gerard Mayo takes over and it doesn't work. That's a whole different thing.
3 or 4
someday,
years.
This could happen. But to do a trade for next year, that makes, the more I think about it, the more we discuss it, the more strongly I feel that there's just no chance.
I don't
no
think
chance.
that
Crazy.
I would put the likelihood of Vrabel being here and Bill Belichick still being the coach in New England in the next 3 to 4 years, very, very low likelihood. If things keep going how they're going in New England, there is no way they're going to have the patience to let Bill Belichick hang on for that long. But let's continue the conversation coming up next. We'll get into your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 10 matchup against the Bucs and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Beast Unleashed.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double K.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond, November 17th through 19th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Want an inexperienced surgeon?
Okay, nurse, I'm ready for the scalpel.
How about an inexperienced airline pilot?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and I'm terrified.
Experience matters, and we have it.
Regal Realty Group is experienced to help you from contract to close. They know the area, understand financing, and have up-to-date property listings and comparisons. Oh, and lots of experience. Visit RegalRG.com.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
Team, it's snowing again tomorrow. They're predicting 2 to 3 feet.
'Tis the overtime season for Frank Snowplows.
Kelly, can you take another shift?
Let it snow. Quality driver applicants.
Hey guys, know anybody else with a D license?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexroad.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Bill, have you been given any assurances from ownership about your job status for the rest of the season?
Yeah, my focus is on getting ready for the Colts.
Do you personally believe that you could be coaching for your job this week against the Colts?
I'm going to control what I can control. I'm going to get ready for the Colts.
We're on to Cincinnati. Is the kind of energy that gives off.
Did they think he was
That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
Otherwise?
That's the beauty of Bill Belichick's press conferences, is even when the heat is at the level it is, which he's never been in before, right? Since he's been in New England, he's never been under this much heat. But that press conference sounds exactly like it did. Pick a year 5-10 years ago. That's the beauty of doing all your press conferences about the same as Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah, when they win the Super Bowl, it's we're on to the Colts. I'm gonna focus on beating the Colts.
Right.
Even when you are an undefeated team with the best quarterback in the history of the sport.
Yeah, that's just Bill Belichick. But I think you, like you said, Willie, and we don't want to, sort of, drag this on and on and on. But I think Robert Kraft, he has to have the utmost respect for Bill Belichick and what he was able to do. And people will holler back and forth, argue back and forth. Oh, it was Bill. No, it was Tom. No, look at Tom. Look at Bill.
I think we know now.
Tom.
It was probably more Tom than it was Bill. I mean, Tom won a Super Bowl. Bill hasn't won a playoff game since Tom left.
I get what y'all are saying, but Tom went to Tampa for a reason. Why did Tom go to Tampa?
They had a good team.
Absolutely. It wasn't a good team. It was a damn good team. Defense was there, too. Mm-hmm. So he went to a team that was ready to win. He made the smart move, went to a team that was ready to win. And they did. They started off slow, but they were able to, win. You got to give Bill Belichick credit. Because there wouldn't have been a Tom Brady had Bill Belichick went back to Drew Bledsoe. If Bill Belichick would have just said, nope, I'm going back to Drew Bledsoe. He's my guy. This is what we're doing. He didn't. Yeah. He said, I see something in this young quarterback. Now, Tom worked his ass off to become who he was, but it was Bill Belichick that was like, okay, no, you're our guy. Even though the incumbent is over here, and the only reason he lost his job is because he ran into that damn linebacker on a sideline. He shouldn't have did that. But you are our guy moving forward. Don't worry about it. And Tom flourished. Why? Because Tom didn't have to worry. I was the guy moving forward. Only thing I need to do is get better in this offense. And Tom did his job. He got better at that position, ultimately to become one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback to ever quarterback this game thus far. But we can't sit here and say that Bill Belichick didn't have anything to do with it.
I don't think he didn't have anything to do with it.
To me, it's 50-50 because, listen, I'm putting together this game plan because I have control over everything. I have control over personnel, everything that walks through this door. So we got to give him credit with putting together a band of brothers that were going to play with one another. All of them were not great. They probably had 2 or 3 great players on that team, 2 or 3, But those other guys, Bill Belichick made sure he brought the right guys in there for the situation. So let's not just – Tom is great. I don't like him because he's a Michigan guy, but Tom is great. He's the GOAT, But we got to give Bill Belichick his due for taking a chance on a young quarterback that nobody else wanted to take a chance on.
Well, of course. I mean, I don't think that you win that many Super Bowls and you get no credit for it at all. But if you look at the scoreboard, since Tom left New England.
Oh, it hasn't been good.
Tom is winning that race.
Absolutely. And you can continue to look at it like that, but that doesn't minimize as a head coach what you can do if you have that quarterback that alleviates some of angst or the worry at that position.
Right. I mean, Bill Belichick is still
and
one of
if
the
you're
best
going to
coaches in
make
the
a
history of
change,
sport.
if you're going to make a change, even if you're all Team Brady and you're not willing to, and you want to lean more 50-50 to Brady than Belichick, you have to be delicate when you are replacing a legend. Like I still think Bill Belichick will be considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, there's no argument with that. So if you're going to fire one of the greatest coaches of all time, you better do it carefully.
Let's get into some of your thoughts on this. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin in Hopkinsville texts in, says, I could see Vrabel trying to take Levis with him if they start talking deals. I just don't see him going to Mac Jones unless they have pieces to go get a Cousins or someone. We can't just take a player with you. That's not how it works.
It's St. College. You can't just get in the portal and transfer. I mean, if that was the case, you have a bunch of guys getting in the portal.
You're just going to kidnap him in the middle of the night and ship him up to New England.
Exactly. So
if they want to trade the picks for Will Levis, in addition to the picks that they would have to trade for Mike Vrabel, go ahead.
Yeah, take
You're looking at probably 3 first-round picks and multiple second or third round picks.
You're basically saying, here's my whole franchise. Here, you can have it for one guy.
Right.
It would be for two guys, but that's not going to happen.
In the USFL, they actually did a thing where they swapped franchises. I'll have to go back and look at the details, but they basically traded 2 teams, the entire 2 teams. So that would be pretty crazy.
Yes. What else we got?
I'll have to look it up. The Arizona Wranglers or something like that. We'll have to find this.
And another texter says, what about Belichick moves to general manager and Vrabel takes over as head coach?
He's already general manager.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, however they would try to make that work, if indeed they want to show Bill Belichick the respect and still keep him in the organization. But then I just think that would cause even more problems.
Can you imagine Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft all having power over a football team? That sounds absolutely miserable.
Sounds like a madhouse. That's what it sounds
like. That's, alpha male on alpha male warfare right there.
But ultimately, the owner has say. So, he has, hey, I got veto power over all y'all. I mean, first and foremost, this Titan team has to figure out a way to help out their young quarterback. And when I mean help him out from a defensive standpoint. They got to find a way to stop defenses from running the ball because this young man has shown you something. He's shown you some excitement, something you can hold on to, something tangible. And nobody else is doing their job. The guys that we have tasked to do their job, the guys that are being paid the big money on the defensive side of the ball, they're not doing their job to the level it needs to be done. I'm not saying they're playing horrible, but they're not doing their job. I watched the first half of that game, that Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh, from an offensive standpoint, I'm going to say this because you don't hear it too many times. I don't think Pittsburgh out-physicaled the Tennessee Titans line. They out-technique their defensive line. Their offensive line was damn near, I'm not going to say flawless because they know if they were flawless or not. But as I'm looking at it from the all-22, it seemed like from a technique standpoint, they were the better team from a technique standpoint. Their offensive line were better at their techniques than the Tennessee Titans defensive line. I don't think they bullied them around or anything else. I just think from a fundamental standpoint, technique-wise, they were better than the Tennessee Titans defensive line. And we can't have that moving forward.
Yeah.
It has to be better on the defensive line.
It's like we've said, you can't let other teams beat you the way that you want to win football games.
Exactly.
The Saints, the Colts, and the Steelers all beat you by playing good defense and running the football. And I think you bring up a good point as well, that I think the forefront of every conversation about the future of this football team, whether it's the coach, coordinators, personnel, they should all revolve around your team's most valuable asset, and that's Will Levis. We'll get back into this conversation, but coming up next, let's get into what we saw from the rest of the AFC South over the weekend because I'm scared frankly, to be completely honest with everyone. So we'll take a look around the AFC South coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
My foster parents didn't just teach me to fish. They taught me that persistence and patience pay off. They didn't just teach me to bake the perfect birthday cake. They also taught me to measure and meet my own potential. They didn't just teach me to garden. They taught me to plant seeds and watch them grow. And they didn't just teach me to walk. They taught me to stand on my own 2 feet. Foster a child and change their future. Visit youthvillages.org/foster.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willy Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. Yesterday in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings backs were against the wall at the QB position. Jaron Hall left the game early with an injury, and emergency quarterback running back Cam Akers left the game with an ankle injury. Former Vols and Titans quarterback Joshua Dobbs went into the game as he was recently traded from the Arizona Cardinals. Dobbs threw for 2 touchdowns and rushed for 1 as he led the Vikings down the field on their final drive to beat the Falcons 31-28. According to ProFootballReference.com, that was Joshua Dobbs' first game-winning drive of his NFL career. The Vikings' record now improves to 5-4 on the season. Other news around the league in the AFC South. C.J. Stroud had an incredible performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Stroud threw for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, rushed for a 2-point conversion with no interceptions. With no kicker available, Stroud as well led his team down the field with a game-winning drive as he threw a pass to Tank Dell for 15 yards to put the Texans up 39-37. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Game studio, sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. TD, Teron Davenport, will join us in 1 hour. We'll get TD's thoughts on what we saw on Thursday night in Pittsburgh, which for some reason feels like 6 years ago. Forever ago now. What we heard in the Boston Globe report from Ben Volen, of course, the rumblings that Robert Kraft calls Mike Vrabel, the New England Patriots home run hire, if and when they decide to move on from Bill Belichick, and just general goings-on across the NFL. Now, it does feel very weird being here on a Monday, not talking about a Titans game. Of course, the Titans were in action on Thursday Night Football last week, but there was a lot of drama.
Yes.
A lot of goings-on across the NFL. Most notably around the AFC South from C.J. Stroud. Yesterday, in the Texans' win over the Bucs, including a field goal kicked by their third-string running back, which a running back that plays in special teams in that capacity, I'm sure Mike Vrabel was sitting at home watching that game just salivating. That Vrabel guy, a running back who kicks field goals. The Houston Texans take down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a very high-scoring game, 39-37. C.J. Stroud yesterday, 30 of 42, 71% completion percentage for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. My goodness gracious, I am terrified of this kid. And if we're going to extend it to the entire AFC South, you've got Trevor Lawrence, you've got C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, who looks very promising if he can stay healthy, and Will Levis, who also looks very promising. Now, with those 3 rookie quarterbacks, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but from what we've seen so far, these quarterbacks look like the real deal. I mean, we're looking at an AFC South where there could be 4 potentially good, great to elite quarterbacks here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we talk about this AFC, these AFC teams. In the first team we mentioned is their quarterback. You can look at every team. Buffalo has their quarterback. Miami has their quarterback. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Kansas City, the Chargers. So more than half of the teams in the AFC have their quarterback of the future. It's going to get it has the potential to get really scary in AFC. It has the potential to become Steve McNair, Brunell, Peyton Manning.
And we might already be there, and it's only going to get even...
Exactly.
I don't know, worse isn't the right word, but it's only going to get even more competitive if these young AFC quarterbacks blossom into what they were expected to be.
If they materialize and continue to go on this trajectory of going up, then this is going to be an exciting, competitive AFC South moving forward. And this is why I kept saying Will Levis, he needs to be the guy. If you don't see it with Tannehill, you need to put this guy in and just ride with him. Once he got underneath center, I said, listen, he doesn't come underneath center anymore. He doesn't come out from that job. Why? Because Houston has their quarterback, Indianapolis has their quarterback, and Jacksonville, we know, have their quarterback. The only team that hasn't committed to their quarterback was the Tennessee Titans, meaning their future quarterback was the Tennessee Titans. There's no way you go backwards now. If you do, then, Lord help you, because the fans are going to get on you real bad.
Then you pick up the phone and you call Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
And you say, how many picks for Mike Vrabel?
Absolutely. But this team, right now, C.J. Stroud is in the running for the MVP. I don't care what anybody says. What he is doing as a rookie quarterback, 1 interception, 14 touchdowns, completing over 60% of his passes. 7th in the NFL in passing yardage. He looks like a veteran guy out there. He's orchestrating that offense the way it needs to be orchestrated, the way it needs to be ran. The way they are handling him as a quarterback is unbelievable. This is what you want to see with your offensive coordinator, your quarterback's coach, and your young quarterback, and then your defensive-minded coach doing what he does from a defensive standpoint. I'm going to let y'all handle him. I'm going to handle the defense, and it's working out perfectly. They hope it continues to go that way. I don't see any signs of it slowing up unless, God forbid, something happens to him physically where he starts to miss games here and there. But this guy has shown you he's ready. Trevor Lawrence has shown you he's the guy. Richardson, in that short amount of time, has shown you can build a franchise around me. The Tennessee Titans don't want to be left behind. They better recognize that they have something really good going on and surround Will Levis with some talent.
You know what's scary to me, guys, is let's take the Colts. I was under the assumption, right, that, maybe the quarterbacks do look talented, Richardson and Stroud, but let's take them one at a time. The Colts and the Texans, I didn't think that the rest of the roster would be worth anything. But that's what's helping them is not only like the Colts haven't even had Richardson. but they're still a competitive team with Gardner Minshew quarterbacking. That tells you that the rest of the roster isn't quite as bad as a lot of people thought it was going to be. So that is a scary thought, is when Richardson comes back next year, that they will have more pieces in place to help him than we originally thought. Usually what you get when you have a high first-round pick who's a quarterback is he's really got to take his lumps for a couple years because they've got to build the rest of the roster. But they seem to be further along, and the Texans definitely are further along. And they still have quite a bit of draft capital that they had built up from the Deshaun Watson trade. So they're not done picking high, even if they win more games than they thought they were going to win. So that's a scary thought. So to me, the Titans are the ones that have to be wary of that. And we already know Jacksonville is further along in either of those two because they've been picking high for so long. It's just about time that they had a good team, and now they finally got it right. So that was my thought. And I do have to give a great – I forget the guy's name. Maybe Nick can help me with the name of the running back to kick the field goal, but I love that stuff.
Dare
That guy –
Ungwale.
When he hit that thing, I mean, I just love his form. Like, you could tell he'd practiced it. Like, the chances of him actually getting in there and kicking a field goal in a close game were 1,000,000 to 1. But that guy goes out there and he nails it. And the crowd reaction was awesome. The sideline reaction was awesome. Do you know who the last non-kicker to kick a field goal was?
Chad Ochocinco.
Nope.
It wasn't Chad?
Nope. There's been one since then. I think he did kick one, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He kicked a few, I think. Gosh, who was the last non-kicker to kick a field goal?
I didn't know this. I just was reading the article about it because I was so excited about it.
I don't have no idea.
Give him a hint, Willie. Either the AFC or
it is a wide receiver. It's a wide receiver, and we've been talking about his team all morning.
Julian Edelman?
Close.
Not Edelman, but
Danny Amendola.
Nope. You're warm.
Gronk?
Keep going.
No,
nope.
not Gronk.
Can you imagine?
Not
Gronk?
Wes Welker.
Wes Welker is right.
Oh,
No
Wes Welker kicked
way.
a field goal in 2004. And I assume he was with the Patriots. I guess we should look. Was he with the? Was that before
2004?
he became a Patriot?
That was with
he
the
on
Patriots.
the Patriots?
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
I think that was
because he was with the Dolphins.
No,
before
that
the
might have
Patriots,
been
right?
Miami. That might have been Miami in 2004. Yeah, it might have been Miami.
That was awesome. I remember as a
Very
kid
impressive.
in the 80s, the Buccaneers, of course, when I was forced in Florida to watch the Buccaneers every week. That was always fun. They were so bad.
Buccaneers.
And we were like, can we please get another game on? We have to watch the Bucs. But there was one game where their kicker got hurt, and they brought in an offensive tackle who kicked straight on with the toe. And he actually made a couple extra points. It was great TV. But
Did
this
he break
guy
his
had
toe
the
in the
form.
process?
Oh, probably. If it was Bucs, it likely happened. But that was great. That was great drama yesterday. What an unbelievable ending to the game between the Bucs and the Bucs are the next opponent for the Titans. The Bucs are still in the race. That was a tough loss for them because they're in the hunt for a weak division, just like we thought that division was going to be. It's up for grabs.
I mean, and talking about weak divisions, I thought the Titans were going to be competing in one.
I know.
And now here we are.
Trying to stay out of the cellar.
Well, here we are, week 9 behind us, heading into week 10. The Titans are the worst team in the division. The Jags have won 5 games in a row. The Houston Texans look like they've got, a baby Joe Burrow at quarterback. And I'm thinking, when the heck did all of this happen? When did this division go from just crap bum teams to now all of a sudden having 3 really good young, 4 really good young quarterbacks if you want to throw Trevor Lawrence into the mix. And the AFC South is looking like maybe in the next 3 years could be one of the most competitive divisions in football.
Well, that's why.
That's why the roster has to be built properly, right?
Exactly.
Because the other 3 teams have a head start on the Titans because the Titans they've gone for it with a veteran roster. They've traded draft picks, and they don't have a lot of draft capital right now. So it makes it tough.
Well, that's why, it's important. And listen, things can change in this league just as fast as anything. But that's why it's important to, when you're making these hires for coaches and coordinators and coach, quarterbacks coach, that you marry the right coach with your quarterback, especially with your young quarterback. Because if you don't, you can see what happens. You saw it you saw it in real time with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Luckily, they were able to get out of that and not ruin a young Trevor Lawrence or just ruin players, period, on that team.
They tried to ruin
Yeah, they tried to. But you see how important it is to have that link, between the quarterback, the OC, the quarterback's coach, and the head coach. There has to be one. There has to be there has to be a plan when we come in. This is what we want it to look like. It has to be. So I'm sure, in Houston they had a plan on what they wanted to look like. Hence, that's why they hired the people on offense that they hired. No one was making a big deal about the defense. Everybody was, everybody around the league. Did they hire the right people for this young coach? For this young quarterback? Well, as of now, it seems like they did. Indianapolis, the same way. Jacksonville, what they had to do, they had to turn over that coaching staff, hire the right people for your quarterback. Because when you don't hire the right people for your quarterback, you end up paying for it, and your quarterback ends up looking like a guy that was, I don't know, a free agent or something, rather than the first round, first pick in the NFL draft. So this is where the Titans are at now. A division that is getting better while you are slow. It's like it was like you were the lead guy. You were pacing the race, and you were doing a good job at pacing the race. And then all of a sudden, all these other people, one by one, just start passing you up. You don't want to get too far behind. The Titans don't want to get too far behind. So to me, I know Vrabel said he's going to, give out a depth chart, tomorrow or Wednesday. Your depth chart should start with Levis as your quarterback. That's where it should start. And then you go from there. Because if it doesn't start with Levis as your quarterback, what are you doing?
It seems like every decision this franchise makes, short-term and long-term, I stand by it. It has to center around Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
And if Ryan Tannehill is named as the starter this weekend, man, I truly do not know how I will react. I don't know how, and we're not going to get mad at Mike Vrabel for doing something that he hasn't done yet or might not do, but just to set the stage, Will Levis needs to be your starting quarterback.
I think he will.
I think he will.
I
think Mike Vrabel's too smart.
Yeah, but Vrabel, he wants to, keep it in his back pocket. I'm not going to say anything. We just get prepared for Tampa. That's all.
We're on to Tampa.
Yeah, we'll let you know who the quarterback is sometime this week.
We'll have a quarterback.
We got 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
We got 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, throw a subtle pause in there, D-Mase.
Okay.
This week.
We got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So.
We'll have someone out there.
That's a Vrabel for you.
It's also, to me, it's not just being competitive in the division, which now, through 9 games looks much more difficult than we anticipated it to. And we're going to revisit our preseason expectations coming up next.
Yes. Yes.
It's also the AFC as a whole.
Uh-huh.
Over the next 3 years, I think we can all expect that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, they're all still going to be in this conference.
They ain't going nowhere.
Added on top of a Trevor Lawrence that looks to be good, not great. I wouldn't call Trevor Lawrence an elite quarterback, but definitely a quarterback that can give you some fits when you play him twice a year. If C.J. Stroud looks like this as a rookie, my goodness. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse with any of these young quarterbacks. I don't think it's fair to make a 3-year in the future projection of what these young quarterbacks are going to be, but they all look very promising. So you're looking at an AFC that is stacked versus the NFC, where right now, your top 3 quarterbacks might be Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And those might be the only 3 good quarterbacks in the NFC. You'll throw Geno Smith in there.
Dak, for all the stuff that is said bad about the Cowboys, Dak ain't no slouch. I take Dak on my team. If he was there for me to choose, if those other guys were not there, Burrow and Mahomes, guys like that. But I take Dak. But you're right in regards to the AFC. It just seems like, they are ahead of the Titans, and they're only ahead of the Titans because of the quarterback position. Rosters may be a little bit better than what the Titans' roster and depth is right now. That's why, do I think the Titans can make a push? We said it last week. I'm cautiously optimistic.
This year?
This year. I'm cautiously optimistic, but what gives me what I don't want to completely pause on it is because of Will Levis, because of what I've seen him do the past 2 games. And again, it has nothing to do with the touchdown passes that he's thrown or the arm strength. We all knew that. That's one thing we knew. This kid has a rocket for a right arm, okay? The stuff that we didn't know or was questioned was the poise. Can he be a leader of men? Can he command a huddle? Well, after 2 games, it looks like he can. We can check the boxes on them.
It's promising. You can't jump the gun, but there's enough there where you're saying, okay, we've got to give this guy a chance.
No,
right? Let's give this guy a chance.
He's got knocked down too many times, and he's gotten right back up. And one thing he's not scared to do is throw the football. And I think Ryan Tannehill got a little tentative with throwing the football because he got hit so many times. He got injured and all this other stuff. But I think the kid has it, and I can be completely wrong. But from what I'm seeing, as long as once you get that offensive line straightened out for him, I promise you, Will Levis will take you to an AFC Championship game. I promise you that. You get that offensive line straight for him, he will take you to an AFC Championship game.
That is one thing that makes C.J. Stroud's unreal performance maybe a little bit easier to swallow, is knowing that you feel like you've got the guy. If, let's say, Ryan...
That's your guy's giving you some promise. He's got some tools where you're like, I want to see some more of this. I want to see how he recovers from some adversity. There's going to be a bad game somewhere along here, and so can he hold up? Like, I thought he showed me something in a hostile environment that he kept his cool. He held up in a tough place. That was so he's passing all the tests.
Right.
But so you want to see more. And so that gives you hope. Okay, we've got that part. That's the hardest part to find. Now, how do you put the pieces around it?
Ricky Texan says, did Caroline just throw shade at Dak? She's an undercover Dak hater. I really didn't mean to. I was an unintentional shade.
Yeah, I don't think she meant to throw it at Dak, yes. But there was a little shade.
Give credit to Jared Goff, though. Jared Goff looks pretty good.
Oh, damn. Yes, he does. He looks like the first pick in the draft.
He does.
Yes.
He does. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is coming up next. Visit anticipated. I very much so was throwing shade on this division early in the season, and now we know, hey, things change quick in the National Football League. So we'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Monday, everyone. Yes, I said happy Monday because Monday is the first day of the week and you get to jumpstart yourself off of a wonderful weekend. So I need to tell you about my good people over there at Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experienced and wonderful staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, which includes myself and the surrounding areas in Tennessee, with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They're there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Man, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge in Cool Springs, MD, a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458, or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Willy Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening November 17th through 19th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one, the one where they break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collections, all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds on sale too. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. November 17th through 19th at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at pourvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Pourvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Pourvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and The Game Nashville app. TD, Teron Davenport will join us in 30 minutes. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw from the Titans on Thursday night. And also a little bit of breaking news coming out today. Nicholas Petit-Frere will undergo shoulder surgery. Now, Paul Koharski reported this. He said that yet saying that he'll be out for the season, but of course will at least be out for the foreseeable future. So what do the Titans do on the offensive line? We'll get into that with TD in 30 minutes. But before we chat with TD, let's take a look back because we were just breaking down C.J. Stroud's monster day yesterday. 470 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns. He saw what Will Levis did against the Falcons and said, okay, all right, I'll raise you one. You're going to score 4 touchdowns. I'm going to score 5. So, just the AFC South being so much more competitive. And the Colts and the Texans looking so much more impressive and winning more games than we probably expected them to. So that being said, preseason expectations and preseason predictions, anything can happen in the National Football League. But let's take a look back at some of our 10 Titans questions preseason. Willie, I will send it over to you.
Okay, let's start with this. We started with, remember, just for the context, if you haven't heard us do this before, we do this every year. We ask the 10 biggest questions at the end of preseason, and we put them down, and we revisit it every quarter of the season. So we're about halfway through now. So remember, the context of when we put these answers down is important. We asked the first one, the Titans offense, could they be over or under 21 points per game? In other words, could they raise up from where they've been, which is about 17.5 points per game? All of us were skeptical before the season that they could get that high. Under. We all said under 21 points per game. Where are they exactly now? They were almost exactly the same at 18 points per game through 4. These last couple of games, they've scored a few more, but it's right about the same, right?
Yes, 18.5. They're at 18.5.
18.5. So they got a ways to go in the second half of the season if they're going to achieve that goal. But, with the way they attack the defense with Levis, we'll see.
Yeah, it could happen. Levis gives them, a stronger arm to get the ball down the field, gives them a little bit more mobility in the pocket, gives them a sturdier quarterback in the pocket. And it just seems like I think they're going to continue to try to push the ball down the field because they got a young quarterback with a big arm. Now, I think that will equal to more points, or I hope it does. But then on the flip side of that, defense hadn't shown me anything. So it's like they're going to end up losing anyway because they're going to score 25 and give up 27.
Feels like one step forward, 2 steps back.
Exactly.
Where this defense was solid. I mean, we all thought that this defense was going to win games for the Titans this year. And the defense has been more of a liability over the past couple of weeks, and it's been an asset to this Titans team.
The second question was Ryan Tannehill. He missed 5 games last season, had not missed a start before that since he joined the Titans. So we did put the over-under of 14.5 starts, and we know that is now going to be under if he misses 2 more games, right? He can't get there unless he were to start every game, which we don't think is going to happen, right? So Caroline said over. Caroline thought they could keep him healthy and he would be there. D-Mase and I said under, and it definitely looks like it's going to be under. But it does, at this point, look like the Ryan Tannehill era as a starter is over. And I don't like this. That would not have been what we thought the perfect scenario would be at the end of training camp.
But I don't think we expected Will Levis to look the way that it did. No. That he did, rather.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we have a question on that one.
Oh, all right.
We have a question on that one. Question 9, I'll skip the order because that was a question that I put out there. Remember at the end of training camp, Will Levis had not played in the last 2 preseason games. He missed all of that time, and he was basically relegated as the third-string quarterback. So the question was, will Will Levis start a game during 2023? Caroline and I said yes.
Woohoo!
Despite all of that, D-Mase said no. So we have our answer on that.
Well, we got our answer now.
But it was interesting because at that point, it was really hard to tell how it was going to go, especially with Malik Willis and his part of the equation. Another big one regarding the defense. Harold Landry, back from the ACL tear. He had 12 sacks in his last full season before the injury in 2021. Over under 8.5 sacks in 2023. I said over. Caroline and D-Mase said under. Now, he only had 1 through 4 games. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit more hope that he could get to that, although we still, I think it's fair to say, we've been pretty underwhelmed by how he's bounced back. I think we've been hoping the last few weeks that, maybe there's a little bit more there. There's a little more if he can get better week to week. But he's a critical guy, right, for not just this year, but going forward. They've got a lot invested in him.
And, with Harold Landry, I think that was the conversation that D-Mase and I were having, or at least I know for myself, the reason why I said under was I wouldn't be surprised to see Harold Landry have a little bit of a slower start. As we've seen, when you come back from an ACL, 1 calendar year is probably a fair expectation. Mm-hmm. But just because you come back doesn't mean that you're 100%. Just because you can come back and you get the green light from the doctor and say you're physically 100%, that doesn't mean that you were the player that you were before. But this defensive front is just incredibly puzzling to me, that it looks worse with Harold Landry. It looks worse in the last, 3 or 4 games ever since the Baltimore game, really ever since the Indianapolis game, than it looked in the beginning of the season. I don't understand that in the slightest.
This front doesn't seem as cohesive as they were last year. They just don't.
What is that?
It could be, different players, different roles, obviously new players at those positions, the linebacker positions. Maybe the talent isn't there across the board in regards to their linebackers. And guys are getting a little bit older, okay? I didn't expect Harold Landry to come out and give you, 10, 12 sacks. I thought he would come on sort of toward the latter part of the season, but I don't know.
Which could still happen.
Yeah, but I don't know if that is going to happen. Honestly, I am almost basic. I'm almost to a point where I'm just going to concede and say, let's just wait until next year with Harold Landry. Let's wait until next year where he's fully healthy, can work out the way he needs to work out in the offseason to get himself ready for the season, because he wasn't able to do that. Even though the injury was so early on last season, he still, I believe, wasn't able to have the workout that he wanted to have in the offseason. So I'm just sort of like, okay, punt on this season. Let's wait until next season. But I just don't think when you get rid of, your linebackers, I'm forgetting his name now, the Dolphins linebacker.
David Long
Jr. When you get rid of a David Long Jr. and some of these other guys, and I know Bud Dupree wasn't giving you much, but it was sort of like the cohesiveness that y'all had built as a unit. And then you take that away, you start inserting other players. Mm-hmm. Players that may not even be better than the guys you allowed to leave or you got rid of. It's going to take some time. But I just don't think this front seven has played out like a cohesive unit consistently throughout the season. At times, yes, they have. But I think if you look at the tape, all their games, I don't think they played together consistently like a cohesive unit up front. That's why they're having the problems that they're having.
And the crazy thing to me, too, is, David Long Jr. and Bud Dupree both on the field, off the field, out for a couple of games, back for a couple of games. Their injuries made them so inconsistent. I feel like that has to lead to a lack of cohesion. And they look worse this season than they did with Bud Dupree and David Long Jr. in and out of the lineup.
And they haven't missed games with injuries. Exactly. Hart's the only guy that's missed. So you would think they'd be better. So here's the kicker. Landry does have 4 sacks, right? So it's not inconceivable that in 17 games he's basically on pace to get around 8.5, almost exactly 8.5. So let's see where it goes. Because the other thing for Landry and for the team is how do you address his contract next year, right? If he is way behind, you might look at it. But if he has a good second half, then, maybe you keep the contract intact. They, in theory, will have a lot more salary cap space next year. So that's one to keep your eye on for the back half of the year.
Okay. Let's do this. Tell me this. When you're talking about Harold Landry, because, when it comes to individual players, and you may see a guy that has a lot of yards or a quarterback that throws for a lot of yardage, and then you look at their record and you start watching the games closely, it's like, were those meaningful yardage? Was the quarterback throwing meaningful, yardage during the game, or was these y'all were down by 21 points?
So you had to throw it.
So you had to throw it. I'm trying to figure out, is that going to happen with Harold Landry, where you're just going to fall into sacks? Like, they're not going to be like meaningful sacks. Like, okay, that was we needed that sack and we got it. Whereas it's just one of those deals where you just fall into it and it's yours.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
You could have a lot of sacks. You could have a decent amount of sacks, but you're not really
impacting the game.
The guy doing it. Yeah, so that's your pressure rate. And are you beating your guy one-on-one? What did we hear from Mike Vrabel on Friday? He says, you got 5 guys blocking 4. Somebody's going to get double teamed. The other guys have got to win the one-on-ones. It's clear that Landry is not a consistent threat that you're noticing, even though he does have a respectable amount of sacks.
Well, you know
really
who,
the whole team
you know who
like
he's
that.
talking about.
Autry's leading the team with 5, and it's not like he's been unbelievable or anything like that. Simmons has got 4.5. So as a group, they're not getting the sacks that they need to get. And if you're not getting sacks, you should be getting tip balls. You should be getting pressures. The pressure rate is not what it needs to be.
But you know who he's talking about, right? He says, well, they got 5 to block. They got 5 blocking. We got 4 rushing. Somebody's getting double teamed.
Which is number 98.
Which is number 98. So he's talking about the other guys. Like, y'all got to win one-on-one battles, and y'all are not doing it. I'm not going to single y'all out, but, only one guy is getting doubled here, and that's big number 98. Mm-hmm. So the rest of y'all need to get up off y'all fannies and get to the quarterback, and they're not.
All right, let's get one more question before the break here. This will amuse you guys, because let's see if you remember your answers. Will Nick Folk be the Titans kicker for the entire season?
I said no.
Is what we had to answer.
I think I said no because I thought that he was hurt.
But I thought Vrabel if he missed one, Vrabel was going to be like, all right, enough. Let's go to the next guy.
They do have a tendency.
Yeah, he does have that tendency,
Both you guys said no. I did say yes. So I'm feeling pretty good about my answer. He has kicked pretty well last I checked.
Damn good.
Pro
Bowl-esque kicker?
Yeah.
That's how he's kicking?
We've talked so much over the last couple of years when the Titans have been on and off the kicker carousel. I said, I'm just so envious of all of those teams that if they want to attempt a 48-yarder, 52-yarder, 54-yarder, that you sit back and you say, my kicker's got this. And I wanted that so badly. And that's what the Titans have. Every time Nick Folk goes out to kick, I sit back, kick my legs up, and say, Nick, the kicker, is going to make this one. And it is a grand old feeling to have.
Well, if it wasn't for Robo-Leg in Baltimore, he would be the all-pro kicker, or at least a Pro Bowl kicker for the AFC.
I mean, MVP. Team, big old gold star for Nick Folk. Let's get back into the rest of our Titans preseason questions. And, of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, TD in less than 20 minutes. 1025-1063 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville. You've heard me talk a lot about Zen Sports, the new sports betting app exclusively in Tennessee the last few months, and I'm excited to share with you some big news. Now, when you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to $1,000 no danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet with Zen Sports, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $1,000 maximum if the bet loses, okay? And there's even more good news, people. Zen Sports is rolling out its brand new VIP reward program. This new VIP reward program will allow top-tier customers to earn more bonuses, comps, and perks. Who doesn't like that? The VIP program is by invite only. So if you feel that your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, please check out the program details and apply at zensports.com. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and faster withdrawals like Zen Sports. So, what are you waiting for? Get down and get going and download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift giving easy.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
West Coast Taco Shop features some of the best California-style Mexican food. And this week you can try it for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. Their burritos, nachos, quesadillas, and a variety of tacos are delicious. And once you try this authentic cuisine, you'll become a regular. They also have a salsa bar. And ask about their free live music nights. West Coast Taco Shop, Murfreesboro Pike in Nashville. Get half off now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at pourvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Pourvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Pourvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
This year, Staples will not be celebrating the holidays. Instead, we're celebrating the holiday deals with amazing savings for the holiday season. Save 50% on custom holiday cards, save 50% on custom invitations, and save 50% on custom photo gifts like mugs and calendars. During Staples holiday deals, it's not about the ho ho ho, it's about saving do do do. Save 50% on custom cards, invitations, and photo gifts today at Staples. Ends 12/16. Visit staples.com/print for more details.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, TD, Jerron Davenport will join us in just over 10 minutes. We'll get TD's thoughts on what we saw on Thursday Night Football from Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans and their loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night. But before we get to TD, we're looking back at some of our Titans preseason questions and predictions. Because if we look at the AFC South as it's currently ranked, the Titans in last place, Jags 6-2 sitting atop the division, Texans 4-4 in that second spot in the division after CJ Stroud just had an absolute dynamite performance yesterday against the Bucs, 470 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Needless to say, there's a lot of things that we couldn't predict. But Willy, I will send it over to you for our preseason Titans questions.
Yeah, these are ones where you always look back. There's at least a couple. I don't care how smart we think we are. There's always one or two that I'm like, that's what I thought at the end of training camp? How crazy do I look? So let's go with this one. We asked who ends up with more receiving yards for the Titans on the season, Traylon Burks or DeAndre Hopkins? Mr. Mason. You said Traylon Burks.
I said Traylon Burks. He can't even stay on the field.
Caroline and I said D-Hop. As we know, it's pretty lopsided. Hopkins put together a decent season. Not lighting it up, but, respectable for sure. He's made an impact. 564 yards through 8 games. So on pace for over 1,000 if he stays healthy. Burks right now only 122 yards in 8 games, and over half of the yards are on 1 catch. So that is not trending well for him. And D-Mase, your point all preseason was ideally Burks takes the big leap.
Exactly.
And Hopkins becomes the complementary guy. That's how you build a big-time passing attack. But obviously that has not happened.
And that's the frustrating thing, and really the disappointing thing with Traylon Burks is all offseason we said he needs to be your number one. He needs to make that leap. Obviously, as we've seen, he hasn't made that leap, and he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, this offense, if it was going to take that next step, and it was again because I look at it different. If this was D-Hop's 4th or 5th year, then D-Hop come in. Yeah, he's that guy. He's to do it. Whether you got a rookie phenom or not, he's that dude because he's proven it. But because he's been in the league 10 years and was multiple teams, not because he wanted to, it just happened that way. And him missing the first half of the season last year, at least 6 games, and then them drafting Traylon Burks a year ago and him coming into his sophomore season, I just felt it was imperative for this offense that this guy right here needed to take a big step forward. And he needs to be your lead guy in the passing game. Why? He's young, physical, fast. He gives you what D-Hop can't from a physical standpoint. So if he was your lead guy, then that means your offense is doing really well. Well, he's not your lead guy. D-Hop is your lead guy, and you're struggling from the passing standpoint. Why? Because you only got one guy. In this sport, if you're going to have a good to great passing game, you need more than one guy to throw it to. Kansas City is paying for it right now. They don't have an elite passing game. Why? Because they don't really have Travis Kelce. The other guys came on last game, Sky Moore and those guys. They made some good catches this past weekend. But consistently, it's only been Travis Kelce. When Travis had Tariq and some of these other guys, Juju, it looked a lot better.
Even without Tyreek.
Yeah, even without Tyreek, it looked because they had another option. This team, the options that they thought they were going to lean on,
Tony,
Chig,
They haven't been able to do it. Let's segue into that.
Yeah.
So let's segue into that in the interest of time. We got a few minutes before we get to Tehran here, but the other question we had on the offense in terms of skill players was the secondary pass catchers. Who will end up with more yards from scrimmage, rushing, receiving? Choice A, Tajay Spears. B, Chig Okonkwo. C, Chris Moore. D, Nick Westbrook-Akine. After 8 games, Spears 340 yards rushing and receiving. Okonkwo 177, Moore 169, Westbrook-Akine 224. Caroline was the only person that said Spears, and he looks far and away like he's going to do it. And obviously one of the biggest disappointments is Chig. D-Mase and I had Chig as a breakout guy, and that has not even come close to happening here.
No, it hasn't.
And that's it's not without opportunity.
Exactly. He's had his opportunity.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It would be
that's
one
the disappointing thing about Chig is they've tried to get him involved, but it's just not – he's not giving them reason to keep going back to that well. So we'll see what the second half has to say there. Okay, let's get to Derrick Henry. His carries the last 4 years, 303, 378, 219 2 years ago when he broke the foot, and then 349. The over-under that we set was 320.5. Right now he has 137 through 8. So he's on pace for less than 300, even for 17 games. A 17-game pace would be 291. I was the only one who said under on this. So it is interesting that even though, that he's still the main guy in the attack, and I'd even like to see them get the ball in the hands of Spears a little bit more. It looks like they're doing a good job of not overworking him, right?
Yeah.
So how do we interpret what he's done so far? Because he's been pretty decent. The yards per carry, still pretty steady, 4.4. He hasn't had a bunch of big home runs. He's had one. He's had a 63-yard run. But it's not like his yards per carry is big-time inflated from a couple of big runs.
Yeah, I think we also have to